Welcome to AM Best Audio.
As carbon credits become an essential tool for businesses striving to offset their carbon emissions, the insurance industry has witnessed a surge in fraudulent activities, including counterfeit certificates and certificates tied to non-existent projects. To address that growing concern, Marsh and We2Sure have launched a new insurance facility designed to help organizations in the UK, EU, and US navigate the rapidly growing risk of carbon credit certificate fraud. I'm Lori Chortis for AM Best TV. And joining us now to discuss that is Jackie Quintal, Managing Director of Marsh's Financial Institutions Group, and Simon Wigzell, co-founder of We2Sure. Jackie and Simon, welcome. So great to see you both. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Jackie, what's driving the rise of fraudulent carbon credit activities such as counterfeit certificates and non-existent projects, and how is it impacting insurers?
So the main driver is a lack of regulation. What also contributes to this is that there's no unification of standards across the industry. So there's an environment where inconsistencies can be exploited. I think the third piece is that in some instances, we see uneducated buyers, and carbon credits are complicated. So some buyers struggle to conduct thorough due diligence and avoid purchasing inadvertently, of course, fraudulent certificates. That combination of factors has caused insurers to historically hesitate to provide insurance in this space. I think they find it something that is, as I said, unregulated. There's a lot of risk. It's hard for them to quantify or parameterize, which is really where We2Sure and this solution has come in. But maybe before we talk about that in depth, Simon, I don't know if you want to give an example of some of the recent frauds we've seen that then connect back to these factors.
Sure, Jackie, thank you. So there's been a very recent scandal that's hit the market, and it's quite substantial, actually. It affected the German energy market, and over the past 4 years, they spent about €1 billion on acquiring carbon credit certificates to use as offsets. And unfortunately, they originated, for the most part, from non-existent projects. And the overall economic upstream loss of this was around $5 billion. But you have to bear in mind that these certificates were issued by a very reputable registry body, and they were independently audited by German auditors. And a lot of sophisticated buyers were involved, including Shell and Total. So really everybody's exposed to this, and it really underlines the relevance of the product that we're offering at the moment.
Jackie, can you tell us about Marsh and We2Sure's new insurance facility, how it's designed to address various types of fraud, and how you're collaborating with insurers like Sampo, Brit, and Talbot to provide comprehensive coverage through the facility?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's designed to cover 3 types of fraud. The first is fake or fraudulent certificates. The second is non-existent projects. And the third is the theft of carbon credit certificates. And the collaboration was really enabled by We2Sure's proprietary technology and their ability to monitor carbon credit certificates and the underlying projects in real time to ensure their legitimacy. So between insurers' openness and desire to fill what's otherwise viewed as a protection gap in the market, take that paired with We2Sure's ability on the diligence side, we were able to put together something that addresses those 3 types of fraud, and really hopefully will work quite well for policyholders, both on the front end in terms of avoiding potentially problematic certificates, and in the instance should something go wrong, to have an insurance backstop behind it.
And Simon, any additional thoughts to share?
Well, just that we knew that the security that we needed was really important. And Sampo is a recognized market leader in the financial lines sector. And then they're supported by Brit, which is listed on the UK stock market, and they also have a Lloyd's syndicate, and in particular Talbot, which is owned by the AIG group in Lloyd's.
Jackie, how does the facility safeguard businesses' reputations when they choose to invest in carbon credits? And what type of businesses would benefit most from using the facility?
I think perhaps one of the most important things is the fraud detection on the front end. So the ability to avoid potentially fraudulent or problematic certificates before even purchasing them. Now, once you've demonstrated that due diligence and hopefully avoided problems, the technology also supports continued view to minimize liability throughout the life of owning the certificate. On that side, I think there could be a few potential negative impacts from a reputational standpoint that this helps to smooth out. Think about the potential negative impact on carbon neutrality if you buy carbon credit certificates that end up not doing what they were meant to do. It can affect green financing agreements, it can jeopardize commercial relationships, lead to regulatory fines, and even create liability for the directors and officers of the company. So having this insurance, I think, enables companies to buy credits with greater confidence on the front end and then smooth out some of that potential reputational risk on the back end. As I think about the types of companies that would benefit from this, it's really any company looking to purchase, in particular, forestry carbon credits. And we expect that there will be more activity in that space as companies increasingly focus on sustainability, corporate responsibility. So I think this is really something that hopefully will enable additional activity in the market.
What challenges do companies face in evaluating the legitimacy of carbon credits? And Jackie, how have businesses in the UK, EU, and US responded to the increasing issue of counterfeit carbon credit certificates?
Some of them, I mean, they're certainly exercising caution. And I'll ask at the end for Simon to comment maybe a little bit on the diligence process. But some have avoided purchasing them altogether, or they've spread purchasing, which in itself is problematic because it's inefficient, and then you have more counterparties to due diligence. So it's really been a problem without a great solution, I think, until now, and with We2Sure's help on the front end of things. But Simon, I don't know, is there anything else specific to the diligence process or the frustrations on that side that is worth noting?
Other than what we offer, the market has relied upon accreditation for carbon credit certificates, and there's been an abundance of new accrediting firms. The problem is that there is no clear standard, and therefore they're not able to develop a clear definition, uniform definition of what quality represents, because in fact that's what they are giving you when you subscribe to these accrediting companies. And even within the accrediting companies, there are no clear definition amongst the various projects of what quality represents. So there's definitely a gap for assurance, which has a completely different benefit to accreditation.
Customize your data experience. BestLink now offers an interactive company dashboard that provides company-level intelligence in a fast, user-friendly interface featuring interactive tables, charts, and Sparkline performance histories. Customize the dashboard tiles to prioritize the insurer ratings, data, and analytics that best support your workflow. AM Best. Our insight, your advantage.
Simon, looking at technology, what role does technology play in the evolution of insurance solutions for complex emerging markets like carbon credits?
It's critical. When we first went down this path, we had to engage with insurers, and this is a new space for them. And we knew that the one thing that they didn't have was data. So We2Sure built a proprietary platform, which we call the Carbon Actuator. And it does lots of nice things. I mean, for example, we have a neural network that feeds into the registry body, and it carries out reconciliation of the batch of carbon credit certificates that are to be insured. And it tracks and traces all movements associated with that particular batch and generates alerts. But even further than that, we then go down to project level and we overlay it with multiple feeds from various satellites in order to build up a picture of the density of the forest and get to understand whether that forest or that asset was capable of producing the number of credits issued by the registry body for that period that's to be insured. And here there's lots of things that we do, transcodification and reconciliation, looking at the PDDs and so on. But that enabled us to attract the capital because of the underwriting due diligence process. And it also allows us to remove ourselves from areas that might expose everybody to greenwashing. So technology is a vital tool in the development of carbon credit certificates and the associated insurance.
Simon, in what ways will this initiative support the long-term growth and trustworthiness of the carbon credit ecosystem?
Well, insured carbon credits do a couple of things, and importantly, they strengthen the corporate's internal compliance and governance, and the ultimate responsibility of this sits with the board of directors. So by insuring your carbon credit certificates, you are complying with all of your internal processes. And this allows you to issue a much more robust statement to your stakeholders that, in fact, the carbon credit certificates you're using are guaranteed for their authenticity and legitimacy. And really importantly, what the insurance does is it transforms the carbon credit certificate from an intangible into a tangible digital asset. And we're doing this, and this is really important for CFOs, we're doing this by removing the default risk because the registry bodies that issue the carbon credit certificates are not financial issuers. And once you have the carbon credit certificate insured, it can go on balance sheet at the sum insured and carried forward on that basis. And you don't have to argue with your auditors what the market value is, because these are really difficult assessments to be made. And in particular, because they're treated differently now as a tangible asset on balance sheet, you can even collateralize them for loans. So that's just some of the benefits that an insured carbon credit brings to a company.
And Jackie, looking ahead, what are your future plans for the facility? And do you plan to expand it to other regions or markets outside of the UK, EU, and US?
Absolutely. The short answer is yes, depending on where the demand is, right? So I think as we see what uptake is on this current version, we'll be able to then work with insurers to expand, whether into other geographies, perhaps different scope of coverage, and really want to take it wherever it will continue to be most relevant and impactful for the market.
And Simon, any additional thoughts to share about future plans for the facility?
Yeah, I will just add that all of that is possible only if we align it to the development of technology, because this is absolutely key. And this is where we're making all our investments and spending a lot of time and effort. Is really to get that risk oversight that allows for the institutional underpinning through the insurance contract and backed by the insurance industry. That will strengthen and increase the appetite for using these instruments.
Jackie and Simon, this has been so interesting and so informative, and I'd like to thank you both so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
That was Jackie Quintal, Managing Director of Marsh's Financial Institutions Group, and Simon Wigzell, co-founder of We2Sure. And for AM Best TV, I'm Lori Chortis.
Looking to get the full attention of the insurance industry? We have the platforms that will do just that. Whether it be AM Best TV, AM Best Audio, Best Review Magazine, or Best Day. Find out more by calling AM Best Advertising Sales at 908-439-2200, extension 5399, and have a great day.